Sunday, March 31st, 2019. 6 shots. Death's doorbell. What happens when tragedy strikes? A little girl loses her father, and a son loses his hero. A wife loses her heart, while a neighborhood is left to rebuild. 6 shots. Death's doorbell. LA, we see you. LA, we mourn with you. LA, we rise with you because we understand that the marathon must continue. Rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle.
You can see still at this late hour, more than 6 hours, actually 7 hours, since this was first reported here. Hundreds of people continue to stream in, and now fans who want to come in and pay their respects and show some grief have been allowed to actually come right up to the site where Nipsey Hussle's life was cut short earlier today.
There's no one answer to how you change the hood or change the reality of what goes on. But what you got to think about is when you don't have resources, you in survival mode. So being in survival mode automatically rules out a lot of things because you don't care about morality, because you don't experience morality. You experience, the need to survive. You don't experience, fairness. You don't experience planning for the future. So I think once you get out of the survival mode, your morals come back closer to your daily decision making. You start thinking about what's right and what do I believe in. But until you get out of survival mode, you ain't got time to be worrying about right and wrong. You worrying about bottom line.
Growing up in LA, there are incredible people, right? But angels only come so often. And for us, we watch Nipsey grow up. We watch him grow up through the struggle that we all grew up in. But as a young man, he was sharp. As an adult, he became responsible. As a father and a husband, he became a leader, and our leader in LA. And so when you see Russ and DeMar, Kawhi, Trevor Ariza, James Harden honoring this man, is because he led by example. A lot of us come up in the Tupac generation, and Tupac talked about all the things that he wanted to do in the community. Nipsey Hussle did it. Nipsey Hussle was there. And so, in the wake of just this tragedy, my heart goes out to Lauren London. Lauren, we love you. We love the kids. And as a basketball family, an LA family, we just want to honor Nipsey because he was everything to us, man. A lot.
That wasn't for me, man. That was for my bro, man. That's for Nipsey, man. 20 plus 20 plus 20. They know what that means, man. That's for my bro. Rest in peace, Nipsey, man. I'm just thankful to be able to go out and compete at a high level, man. Thankful to have these teammates. Thankful and humble to be able to go out and play the game I love. I know you touched on it a little bit, but Nipsey Hussle is an iconic figure. He's legendary. What he did in his community, only God knows. And for you, the inspiration, being from that community, from L.A., just talk a little bit about what that means to you. Unbelievable, man. It means everything to me, honestly, man. It's somebody I looked up to, somebody that paved the way for guys like myself growing up in the inner city, man, and having those conversations with him. I'm just truly saddened by the situation, man. Just continue to pray for his family, his wife, his daughter, and just continue to live on this legacy the right way and be positive in the community. And for sure, I'm going to do my part.
April 5th, 2019. It's your favorite crazy coach. Coach Ray here on the flow with Coach Ray. Heard only on the Fishbowl Radio Network. Man, I tell you, it's 5 days. 5 days since the fatal shooting of Nipsey Hussle. I'm blessed to be with you today during this time to share insight on an amazing opportunity that we have to heal, to grow together as a nation, as a country, at a time where division is rampant, at a time where communication is lacking, at a time where experience needs to be shared, love needs to be given. And that's what we're here for today. Blessed to be here. Thanks for all that are listening in Colombia, Venezuela, my good friends in Mexico. We're worldwide, and I'm blessed to be here with you. Hope you've had an amazing week. Okay, during this tragedy, unfortunately, our brothers and sisters in California are hurting. I can relate to being someone that grew up in the urban community. When you grow up, you see your heroes taken from you. I remember when Tupac got taken away. I remember when Notorious B.I.G. got taken away. And as a young black man that could relate to the music, that the story that they were sharing, it's life defining, honestly, to see your heroes ripped from the very fabric, through anger, through evil, through misfortune. Nipsey Hussle was a man that grew up in the streets of LA. He had a rough childhood coming up, but he was able to take life's lessons and turn his life around. And in that aspect, by turning his life around, he used his abilities to pour right back into the very community in which he came up. America, we love a Robin Hood story. We love the story of the underdog, going from poverty to fortune and ultimately giving back. We love the story of Nipsey Hussle, but we despise his ending because someone so special that had a great plan in motion was ripped away from us because of what? Anger, bullying. And with it being Bullying Awareness Month, we're going to tie that into what we're talking about today as well. I'm your favorite crazy coach, asking you to not only pray for Nipsey Hussle's family, but also the young men and women, anyone that has lost a loved one this week. I'm asking you to lift them up. I'm asking you to see them with the grace that God sees us with, to help, to pray, to walk beside. That's what I'm asking you to do. Your fellow man that's right next to you, you never know what he or she may be going through. Ask questions. Share your experience. I believe in you. Today we got a great show pertaining to the life and the impact Nipsey Hussle had on LA, not only LA, but we're going to talk about the marriage of hip hop and sports, the impact that both play on society and the responsibility that we have. We also have a preview of the Final Four, men's and women's, coming up. You definitely want to stay tuned. My special guest today, one of my first guests today, comes to us straight out of Chi-Town, attended Chi State. From Chi State, he played some ball while in Chi State. From Chi State, he went on to the military, protected the country, served on the front line. After his departure from the service, he jumped into officiating. He's been in the officiating business for a good 15 years. So he's got a lot of knowledge on the game of basketball, and I'm excited to have him here as a veteran, as a brother, as someone that there's never a dull moment. Fishbowl, the flow with Coach Ray. I'd love to introduce you to my man, Haj Davis. What up, Haj?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Oh, first, my bad. Bang, bang.
Oh, yes, sir.
I gotta salute you. Salute you. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, sir. I appreciate you.
Hey, it's no problem, man. Final Four weekend. We got a great weekend ahead of us, men's and women's. Man, what do you think about it?
Hey, I don't have a whole lot of thoughts. I mean, it's the Final Four. I mean,
complete madness.
I mean, I'm usually on the court, so I don't watch much basketball until I get home.
So hey, we're gonna jump right into it, man. So tell us about how you got into officiating.
Well, I first got into officiating when I was stationed in Europe. I guess off and on when I wasn't deployed. I was deployed a lot, being in reconnaissance and all. When pretty much just when I wasn't in the bush. I was asked to get into basketball officiating because I used to play on post teams.
Yes, sir.
You know how it is.
Yeah.
Things to do when it wasn't things to do.
Stay occupied.
Stay occupied, baby. So I left from reffing fights because I used to ref fights. Boxing smokers, MMA, things of that sort. Because I was a martial artist myself. So after after debating, instead of being in the ring and being on the court, I love the game of basketball. So I just got in the books, learned the rules and regulations, which as veterans, we have to know these things.
Yes, sir.
To fight. So I just took that knowledge and from reading and mentors along the way, and got myself on a basketball court. And that's when I found a newfound love for being a sports official. A lot of people just say the word referee, but what is a referee?
An official.
An official. Someone who keeps the peace. They're the law on the court or in a ring, because they know the bylaws, they know the procedures, standard operating procedures, SOPs. We know this. We're supposed to know it.
Right.
And people count on us to know these things to keep the sport safe, to keep it presentable, so to speak, and to keep the flow, like you always say.
Hey, and that's one of the things, having being a coach, we get to interact from time to time. I see you managing the game, the flow of the game, making sure everything is flowing accordingly. And man, your energy is infectious, and the respect you command, and not from a bullying standpoint, but from a just natural giving standpoint. The respect that you give others is what you receive back. So, having seen you in action, I wanted to bring you in and see from a perspective just pertaining to bully awareness, it being Bully Awareness Month. What do you experience as an official from, what's the craziest thing you've experienced from, let's say, a parent?
Whoa, from a parent. Not without, bringing up, instances. Let's just put the main thing out there. Let's just say parents, since you said parents. To me, as a species, we all have an intelligence. So when you say parents, I think that they should just watch the game.
Watch the game.
They should just watch the game. Unless you are a sports official in that sport and you know the rules and regulations that govern it, I think you should just watch the sport. You should respect it in that way, so as to not interfere with the game. A lot of parents don't know that they're interfering with the game when they have these sly comments. They want to approach the officials. I've seen parents approach coaches. How come my kid is not on the court, longer than this kid? Or I'll get back to the official thing. I've had parents come out of the bleachers, because they think that a certain call should have been made. Because I get it. That's their baby.
Right.
That's their child.
Right.
I would just like to say I'm there to keep the game safe. I can't control every aspect, but my part in that, as being a sports official, trying to keep the game safe, making the proper calls, seeing the development of plays, watching what happens, and reporting such violations as such.
Right.
So, you have parents that don't like it. You have coaches that don't like it.
100%.
You have coaches don't like the calls. But like what I tell a coach, it's because of you, sir, in your position, is the reason why they changed these calls. They changed, you guys, the players and coaches, you guys changed the game. Rules and regulations are made up off of situations that we find ourselves in on this court or in any sport that matters. It's the players and the coaches that make these rules. It's not us. We're just there to enforce the rules. That's my job.
That's your job. And that's one of the things we want to echo to our parents out there pertaining to bullying. That's what we're diving into right now. I want to thank you for tuning in. Man, you spoke a volume right there, a lot right there pertaining to conduct. Why is it important? Because you're there as an official to make sure everything is flowing smooth through the game. So you've experienced people coming out of the stands, backlash from the coaches. So it's almost like you aren't entitled to make a mistake as a human being. And one of the things that we want to continue to remind everyone, the community, the sports community, we are all working together for one common purpose, one common goal, the betterment of a young man or a young woman, the betterment of each other. That's what we're striving for. So when it comes to bullying, officials are recipients of bullying as well from you and I. So word of encouragement, if you find yourself getting irate, if you haven't officiated a game before, if you haven't coached a game before, just enjoy the game from a spectator standpoint. That's one of the main things that will eliminate bullying going on, because we got a big weekend ahead of us, Haj. We got a big weekend ahead of us with the Final Four for men's and women's going on.
Yes, sir.
Up in Minnesota, we got Virginia versus Auburn, and Michigan State versus Texas Tech. Our
Yes, sir.
Red Raiders from Texas Tech are representing Texas.
Yes, sir.
And you know what? That officiating, I can just imagine. They're going to go through it. They're going to go through the ringer, because you got 4 teams that have worked their butt off. You got 4 coaches that have undergone scrutiny from the media, from probably referees, just backlash because of their temperament, And so it's very important to make sure that everything is even keel, when it comes to March Madness in Minnesota and also in Tampa Bay. My good friend, Coach Max Reese, she just touched down in Tampa Bay for Final Four. So I'll be looking forward to possibly getting her on the line to find out what the atmosphere is down in Tampa. And also our local Coach Aaron, Coach A.T. Taylor, he's up in Minnesota. He's going to stop by probably during the second hour and give us a rundown on what's going on in Minnesota. There is life in Minnesota. I'm your favorite crazy coach. It's Friday, April 5th, 2019. And my special guest is the great Haj Davis, veteran Haj Davis. Yeah, I have to put the great with it, because
I appreciate it, man.
Your resume, man. Your resume. You're a veteran. I respect you. You're an official. I respect you. And you're my brother. And I commend you on everything that you've endured, having shared fellowship with you. I know that one of the things as veterans, and speaking of veterans, this weekend at the AT&T Stadium, it's the Veteran Combine put on by Darren Woodson. So if you have time to swing by Cowboy Stadium this Saturday, please do so. It's a great opportunity for veterans to go through the combine, such as strength, speed, skill assessment, similar to that the professional athletes go through. So if you're a veteran, I don't care what service you served in, get on down there and show those professional athletes what you're made of, because we know where the heroes lie. I salute you. Okay? So back with you, Haj. Man, being a veteran and an official, you go through the ringer, bro. You go through the ringer. It's all right to be humble. It's okay to be humble and act like.
Is it?
Yeah, but I put you through the ringer, probably our first interaction. Like, wait a minute, was that a call? Come on, but man, elaborate on that. Why do you get the blunt end of the feedback?
Well, everybody needs to vent, even coaches, and I'm there for that. I tell coaches all the time, I'm here for you, coach. I'm working for you, coach, but I'm not gonna let you work me though.
100%. Because coaches will try to do that, won't
Yes,
they?
sir. So on the other aspect of that, when you said being a veteran, I guess on the other side of that is acknowledging that to myself and knowing that, um, you know, the professionalism that has to go along with that, and you know, being able to swallow a little bit of pride, you know, not getting involved in the game. Because as a sports official, you can't get involved in the game.
There's no bias.
There's no bias. So as far as interacting with coaches and players, I just try to give, well, I don't try. I give the respect that I would like back. But as you and I both know, you can't make people do, anything. That's a choice.
Right.
But I, as being a professional person, not officiating, but a professional person, and having those values, leadership, respect, duty, selfless service, honor, about yourself, having integrity, and knowing your purpose out there. It took me a long time to find that. Being a sports official, period.
Right.
It has allowed me that transition that veterans need, because you as well as I know, once we take off that uniform, we wonder now what's our purpose.
Right. 100%. When I got out of the service, and that's the beautiful thing about my story. When I got out of the service in 06, actually 03, I didn't know what the next step was. After I got out, I just went dark. I didn't contact the VA, no nothing. My thing that I focused on at the time, I was focused on music. And I was able to partner with good friends in San Diego and continue a recording studio. And I thought I was going to be, honestly, at 30, the entertainer of the year, because I love music and I love the power that it created. But also having a sports background, being an athlete, growing up, one of the things that we looked at, Notorious B.I.G. said it best, either growing up in urban areas, either you had a wicked jump shot or you slang that rock, One of the things, when you go through that, when that's shown to you, it becomes not necessarily your ideal, your ideology, but you relate to it, So I knew that those two areas, either being a professional basketball player or entertainer, I knew those two areas. That's what I wanted to focus on. So, beautiful thing I'm reminded through Nipsey Hussle passing away, in 2005, my studio got broken into. Recording studio got broken into. So, for those that aren't aware with what goes on, when you hear the saying, the streets talk, and in that lifestyle, there's only one thing that has to take place, and that's retaliation. So thank God that didn't occur. God gave me an understanding that this is what's going on. I need you closer to me. I'm doing some things in your life. I'm taking this away from you right now to grab your focus. Disregard that. And luckily, thank God that I had an understanding of who I was in him, because that's one of the things when it comes to violence and anger that we're facing in America. One of the things is people don't understand who they are and whose they are, and that's one of the things that I want to remind you of, because that easily could have been me with Nipsey Hussle, the scenario. That could have easily been you growing up, We are not a product of our environment. However, we relate to certain things in our environment that make us stronger, that either will make us stronger or break us down. And everybody faces that. Everybody faces that in life. But mental strength and stability is so important when it comes to making it through. You have to have a great mindset when it comes to, in that situation, when it comes to pursuing your purpose and finding out what that purpose is in your life. You have to have an understanding of who you are and who you are. And for a lot of, speaking on African American men, just speaking for myself, a lot of us weren't shown how to communicate that, if that makes sense, of, hey, how do I find out my purpose? Or who do I turn to in this situation? You know, and just speaking from relating to what you see in front of you, two black men, in order for us to be stronger, we've had to come to a grip and understanding that we got to talk. You got to communicate. You got to seek that knowledge of who you are. You got to be able to let go of the pain or the anger that's holding you back from growing. We had to come to a point of understanding in our life. And I think the military probably helped us with that, grasp a purpose or have a greater sense of understanding, like, hey, man, I got to have a sense of urgency. I got to have a great sense of urgency.
Yes, sir.
You know, while we were talking, during that little segment, I was reminded through good friend Dessei Brown, local networker, Network for your Networth. He's a great colleague. Des, if you're listening in, give me a call. We'd love to hear feedback on your experience in LA this past week. 214-431-5062 is the call-in number. Des, let us know what's going on. This is your favorite crazy coach. We're talking about life, Bullying Awareness Month. Also, we're discussing the impact that the marriage of hip-hop and sports have on our society, as well as recapping and previewing Final Four weekend locally. Just to recap the WNIT, my Lady Horn Frogs. My Lady Horn Frogs weren't able to get it done this past week. Went down to Arizona, unfortunately. They didn't advance to the championship round, but however, they had an amazing, amazing season. Coach Peebley, great job. Jordan, great job. Amy, great job. Ashley, great job. 3 seniors that powered the team, you know. And we look forward to seeing what you guys do next season. You know what time it is. We got to keep working. We got to keep working, keep our head to the plow, keep blessing others. And that's one of the things, Haj, man, I tell you what, that women's program down there is A1, squared away. A1, man. They have leaders down there that are pouring back into the community. And it all starts from the top on down, you know. And I think that, well, we know that pertaining to our military background. It starts from the top all the way down. And they have a leader that's a foot soldier, getting out there, touching lives, and that's one of the things that we got to applaud that in today's society. You know, the men's side, unfortunately, they went up to Madison Square Garden this past week. NIT, you know, went up against the Texas Longhorns. Unfortunately, they didn't get it done. However, they still had a tremendous season. 3 standout athletes for me on that team. Desi Bangs, he's a junior returning back. Alex Robinson, I salute you, kid. You displayed true leadership this year. I'm proud of you. I understand every hurdle that you've had to overcome to get to where you are. Man, I look forward to seeing you at the next level. My man, J.D. Miller, Iron Man, most games played. Hey, you got that energy, Hoss. You got that energy. You got the juice. Go be that leader that God wants you to be. Amazing program led by Jamie Dixon. Unfortunately, they're losing Scott Cross, former UTA head coach and assistant coach at TCU. He's moving up to Troy University in Alabama. Troy, Aaron McMichael, I know you're listening. You know you got you a good coach, son. Okay, so I stand with you. you might hear me root. Yeah, you'll see me root for Troy because I support good people that give back, that really, really use their abilities to impact the world around them. Continuing on, man. Nipsey, Haj, you remember when Tupac passed away?
Yes, sir.
How'd you feel then?
You know, this is, well, I look at it from a great mind standpoint.
Yes, sir.
That he had a great mind.
Amazing mind.
He had a great mind.
Amazing mind.
A lot of people, now that time has went by. I mean, we're talking almost 20 years, if not more.
Yes.
All right. So
literally 22
exactly.
for BIG.
Yes, sir. So I mean.
Looks like we got a caller calling in, my man.
Uh-oh.
Hold on 1 second, Haj. You're live on the floor with Coach Ray. Check.
What's up, Coach?
What's going on, Dessei?
Yeah, man, I'm blessed, brother. How y'all doing, man?
We're doing great. Thanks for calling in. Hey, man, I'm with Haj Davis, veteran official. Been officiating for around 15 years. We're discussing the impact of bullying on our society and also the marriage of hip-hop and has with sports. And, man, I know that you were able to travel to L.A. this week.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But yeah, it was crazy out there, man. Very, very somber. You know, you could feel that it was a lot different than it normally has been. I was out there quite a bit during football season, but because I was on a show on Complex. But you know, now with the unfortunate passing of Nipsey, it was just super crazy.
Yeah, man. Tell me, what kind of impact did he have on your life personally?
Yeah, so I actually met him a few times when he was promoting Victory Lab. He actually had like a private event for a lot of DJs and influencers here at Topgolf. So, you know, we had a brief moment where I was actually showing him how to swing the golf club and everything like that. So, you know, and even beyond that, he was so inspirational for, you know, people coming up in his type of environment. And I like that he always talked about a lot of wealth and ownership. And, you know, a while back when Jay-Z bought those $100 albums, like that was really big because, you know, at that time, people really wasn't buying CDs like that.
Oh, yeah.
So it was just cool to see, you know, the supply and demand, basically. So, you know, and it's all about marketing, the way you can market a product if people feel that it's super important. And like Wu-Tang kind of did the same thing where RZA was trying to have the album, you know, one of one and sell it for, you know, $1 million or whatever.
Right. Well, you know, that's the one thing that stood out to Nipsey with me when I found out that he was selling his debut album mixtapes for $100, man. That creates a sense of urgency because it's setting the bar. It's setting the mark
right.
when it comes to following the game. And I tell my players all the time that you have to be a student of the game. Learn from those legends that have gone before you. Learn from the mistakes that they've made and adjust the game according to who you are so that you can succeed. And that's one of the things that Nipsey did, man. That's one of the things that he did. And like you, man, you give back continuously. You're one of the most important networkers in the Dallas area. You know, what are some of the things that what's the vibe locally? You know, I know there was a vigil last night.
Yeah, there was a vigil in over at Gillies last night because the Row Music, he had a good relationship with Nipsey, and he was you know, he had kind of blew up a little bit before Nipsey had, and so they did music together. So he had Nipsey out here for a video before. So Dallas is feeling it as well because there were a lot of people in the area that were close to him or had some kind of relationship with him. So I didn't get a chance to make it. I was actually interviewing Freeway Rick Ross because he's in town this weekend. And he and I kind of talked about Nipsey as well because he had a good relationship with Nipsey, and a lot of the principles that Freeway preaches, Nipsey preaches those as well. So they had a good relationship.
Wow. So you're right in the thick of things. My cousin Latif, I was able to speak with him briefly, and he just said the spirit, man, is just sucked up out of there. And for those that aren't aware, when you have a leader of this magnitude that is really literally pouring back into investing into the place where he came from, to tragically be torn down and taken, it has an impact on not just his direct circle, but nationwide and even countrywide. I mean, worldwide. I know you got to get back to taking care of your little girl. We definitely got to get you into the studio and the station.
Yeah, for sure. And I wanted to say, one other thing about the Nipsey situation is like, I was 15 or so when Tupac died, and it was a lot different, this time around because it feels so hopeless and for the community. And when Tupac died, you had a video of him, actually getting into a fight and everything like that prior to him being murdered. Right. But in this particular situation, Nipsey was always for the community, always positive.
Right.
So that's why this one was so shocking and out of nowhere.
And literally, he was in his place of security. Honestly, he was in his place of security, and for that to happen, man, it's just terrible. One of the things I wanted to ask you, Des, before you got up out of here, I know that you played football at Greenville High School, correct?
Yep, Greenville High School. There's a couple guys out of state. And still hurt to this day.
But you know what? It built character in you. And how do you think the relationship? Why do you think the relationship with hip hop and sports has transcended over the years?
Well, one, I've always felt like, most athletes either do music on the side or want to do music, and most music artists either play sports or want to play sports. So I feel like that's why it has such a close relationship.
Gotcha.
I'm actually working on putting together a project, Marcellus Bennett and myself, that's called Ballin' and Rapping, and I can't get too much into it because we're not finished with it, but just remember that name.
Definitely, and when you guys get it done, we got to get you guys on the show.
Okay, for sure.
Heck yeah. So that's my man Dessei Brown. Des, how can people find you, bro?
Yeah, the listeners can follow me on Instagram at Dessei, and that's YOUKNOWDESSIE, and I ain't hard to find.
Hey, one last thing, because I know you are a father of two amazing children. How are you with your oldest? How do you prepare them for dealing with bullying?
When you're dealing with that, a lot of times, especially nowadays, it's all about, well, it's not all about, but a lot of it focuses on cyberbullying. So you kind of have to make sure that you're having a conversation with your child so they are letting you know what's going on, because, now everybody has a cell phone, so they may be on Snapchat or Instagram, and you not really know what's going on, but you have to let them know that that's just an app, and that I feel like a lot of times people are depressed because of what they see on social media, and so it's kind of like twofold. People are being bullied through social media, but people are also feeling a certain way already going in because of, people are trying to keep up with the Joneses. So I just feel like it's just a more fragile thing because of social media. So I just try to talk to them about that and, to let me know if there's anything ever going on. Is there something I need to know so we can address it early on? Because, there's far too many children committing suicide and doing crazy things nowadays.
That's 100% on that. And unfortunately, we had a recent incident in our local area, in the Frisco area, in which a young lady resorted to using suicide as the way out. And our heart goes out to the family right now, because being a father of two daughters, I understand how important it is, that we protect our kids, and
for sure.
Nowadays, we tend to glamorize, pertaining to social media, we tend to glamorize suicide as a legit option, in which that, as a result of that, it affects everyone. So, man, you hit the nail on the head when it comes to educating them about the power of social media, and also just refraining from allowing that to be what they identify with, So
exactly.
I commend you, big boy, and I look forward to fellowshipping with you more and having our listeners like Josh. He's a crazy Texas Tech fan, probably the only Texas Tech fan that I know. I'm just kidding.
I didn't pick Texas Tech, but one of my good friends went to Texas Tech, so he's really been talking about Texas Tech going all the way. I kind of think it's going to be Michigan State, but, that's just me.
And, just to tie in Texas Tech and the impact of hip-hop on sports, Nipsey Hussle had a personal relationship with one of the Texas Tech players. He actually attended the Elite Eight game against Gonzaga. Player with the Brett Brown, if I'm not mistaken. And Brown was later asked how. Actually, it's Brandon Francis. His dad actually worked with Nipsey for 10 years. And he was asked how that affected him, having him come to the game. He said that's something that he'll remember for the rest of his life. And that's what kind of person Nipsey was, a man of the people, get out and touch people. So, man, Dez, I appreciate you, big boy.
Hey, man, thank y'all so much. And I look forward to, actually being there in person soon.
All right. God bless you, man. Bang, bang.
Okay. Thank you.
You're listening to your favorite crazy coach, Coach Ray, man. Dessei Brown just joined us from Networking for Your Networth. Dessei is one of the leading influencers here in the DFW Metroplex. And I got the opportunity to grow with him while being a colleague through CBS Radio. Joining me right now alongside is Haj Davis, veteran official. He's been officiating on and off for 15 years throughout, not only worldwide, but also he's been stateside in Texas for about 5 years. And it's that time of year, my folks. We got baseball going on. We got softball picking up. We got spring sports gearing and going. And this weekend, AAU basketball picks up, man. Oh, Haj, I saw your face. You cringed for a second. You better get ready. Get ready. All of my kids that are participating in tournaments this weekend, remember, one thing that you got to focus on, believing in yourself. You got to put the work in. Be coachable. Be coachable this weekend, okay? I know my man, Jozon Darby, he's heading down to San Antonio this weekend. Actually, Houston this weekend for the Drive Nation tournament. He's taking this North Texas Storm team. We got to get Jozon. He used to play for Ole Miss back in 98 with Ansu Cisse. He's a great guy, really impacting young men and women. And also, shout out to Coach Gene Toppins, leading the ladies over at Drive Nation here in the Metroplex. Gene has touched so many people's lives. He's impacted me. I got to celebrate. Good people. And that's one of the things that we do here on The Flow. We provide an opportunity for coaches, former or current athletes, former or current, to lend and be a voice of change for not only businesses, but also young men and women in the communities around us. There's a lot of hatred. There's a lot of ununity, if that's a word. It's a word now, Haj. It's ununity in America. But we want to be the glue that bridges us and brings us back together here on the flow. So make sure you stay tuned for the second hour. We're rocking and rolling. We'll find out what's going on in Minnesota, if there's life in Minnesota. And we'll also touch base with our correspondent down in Tampa for the women's Final Four. Don't go anywhere.
Done waiting, told you that I wasn't playing. Now you hear what I've been saying. Dedication. Dedication.
We're live here in the 2 o'clock hour. My man, Nipsey Hussle. Rest in peace. I'm your favorite crazy coach, Coach Ray. And this is The Flow, heard only on the Fishbowl Radio Network, April 5th, 2019. Man, I tell you what, it's been 51 years since the passing of Dr. Martin Luther King. 51 years. Yesterday. 51, man. Wow. One of our leaders ripped from the very fabric that we stand on. And just recently, this past Sunday, another leader ripped from the very fabric that we stand on. You know, history cannot continue to repeat itself. It's up to us to make a difference through our communication, through our experience, through our ability not to see others for labels, but to see them as human beings. And here on The Flow, one of the things that we often do or try to do, our focus is to give the athlete, the coach, the businessman, the voice to offer advice, experience, testimony, fellowship for a hurting world. Because the way we fix it, we got to share. We got to talk. We got to unpack some bags. We got to fellowship. And we just so happen to have the beautiful game of basketball today to open that dialogue. Second hour of the show, my man, I tell you what, fresh from a plane trip from Germany last night. He got a phone call from me. He didn't say I'm crazy. He just said, yeah, man, I'm there. Former TCU alumni, European pro ball player, my man, BP The Truth, a.k.a. Brandon Parrish. What up, B?
Man, what's good, Mike? Appreciate you having me, man. Thanks.
Hey, no problem, man. You're local. I forgot. Local native.
Hey, can't beat that, huh?
Where you grew up?
Arlington.
Arlington?
So, yeah, right
Ag
here.
Town, huh?
Yes, sir.
Hey, man. You know what? You're amazing, dude. You're amazing. To be a local hero, local guy, put work in. You play ball in your backyard.
Indeed.
You know? And now you get the experience overseas. What was year 2 like?
Oh, man, it's like I said, first and foremost, it's a blessing just to be able to continue to play, to be able to play on a professional level because, there's so many guys who want to be able to do it. There's so many guys who hit me up on a weekly, daily basis asking me how they can get into professional basketball, how they can get with an agent. So, just for me to be able to have the opportunity it's like I said, it's a blessing, and for me, it's been a dream come true. And so my first year, I learned a lot, and this year I learned even more. And it was good to be in Germany, kind of more of a more modernized country, a great culture, and a lot of great people. So it was a great experience for me.
Man, that right there speaks volume. Last week we were able to have Larry Daniels, FIBA coach, that actually coached overseas, and he was talking about how, growing up, because of his love for the game, he never thought that he would go overseas and play, let alone coach, and how that expanded his horizon big time. So what speak on that pertaining to that culture experience?
For me, like I said, over the last 4 or 5 years, I've been doing a lot of traveling. Germany was actually my 10th country.
Really?
That I made it to. Yeah, so it was a great experience for me just to go see different cultures and seeing how fortunate you are just to be born in America.
Right.
That's what I think. That's the biggest thing that I take away from going into each country. And you see so many people. You meet people who always talk about the things they want to do, and they just say, "I wish I was born in America. I wish I was born in America."
Hold on, B. Did you just say overseas you got kids, people saying, "I wish I was born in America"?
Yep.
Wanting, desiring to be here.
Boy, they would do almost anything to be here.
Wow. You hear that, kids? You hear that, parents? You hear that, my folks? It's people that want to be in our shoes right now. But I'll leave that for another topic. Those first world issues. Be thankful for what you have. Keep going, B.
Indeed. But, from a horizon standpoint, it was just, good to be able to see a new culture, learn a little bit more about some new history, because Germany, like I said earlier earlier in the 19th century, they had the whole World War II thing going on, and to even be able to go to museums and learn about that firsthand, and just to compare what you learn in the museum to what you learn in in your high school and middle school, it's nowhere close. It's not even similar.
Wow.
And just to be able to see that perspective and see how people go about, and like I said, live off less. It's inspiring for me more than anything.
Wow, man. And all that came from your love for basketball.
It's all started with a love.
Man. So just for my kids out there that are listening, when did the switch click for you that you knew that you had an opportunity to change your life through the game?
I would say about the age of 16. At 15, I was kind of tall. I played. I've been playing since I was 5.
Right.
But then at 16, that's kind of when I really kind of broke out. And from that point, I started, I started to dominate on a different level. I started to see myself kind of moving up. And maybe it's crazy to say, but just to move past people. Because, when you're little and you playing AAU, you see who's on top at 9, 10 years old. And it's crazy to see how that group is much different when you get to 15, 16, 17.
Right.
And so when I started seeing myself pass up some other guys and move kind of up towards that top of the list towards other state, that's when I was like, wow, this could really be something.
Man, I tell you, I get from time to time, I get the opportunity to speak with locals and Big 12 players. Mm-hmm. I know you know a few of them. One of my guys, Terry Black from Baylor. I love his poster of dunking when he dunked on Nick Collison for Kansas. He's a good friend of mine. I talk to him from time to time, and we were talking about the influence of hip-hop and culture. What does hip-hop mean to you, and reflect on how that affects who you are as a basketball player?
I've been exposed to hip-hop culture. To be honest, I can't remember a time in my life where I wasn't listening to hip-hop, honestly. So it's always been like a big thing for me. I always loved it. I think it's more so than anything for me, it's just hearing other African-American artists, and like you hearing great flow, and you see another level of talent that people have. There's sports, there's intellect, so many talents that people possess in this world, and to see the musical talent and to see how a musical talent can really inspire somebody or influence a person's life. And for me, hip hop has really influenced a lot of sport, like a lot within the sport for me, because I know most time I've never really seen basketball without hip hop.
Wow.
So
wow.
It's always been something that got me going, that would always get me in the zone, or something that I could always vibe to and feel a connection.
Got you. So and we see that, and Haj, I'll ask you, piggyback on that question pertaining to what I just asked BP. We see hip-hop throughout every single sport. Like baseball, we got the walk-up songs. Volleyball, during the pregame, they're getting lit, quote-unquote. I think that's what they call it nowadays.
That is what they
I'm
call
old school. They're getting lit, Even, you look at golf. Bubba Sparks. What's my guy's name? Bubba Watson. Mm-hmm. Bubba Watson got bars, bro. If you've never heard Bubba Watson flow, he did a song with Lecrae. Okay, and it's freaking amazing. So the hip hop culture is submerging in all sports, and I just want to reiterate the importance that we have through the sports world, through the entertainment world, of the message that we're sharing. And I think that oftentimes from the outside looking in, those that don't relate to this, the lifestyle aren't able to understand the story that's being told. And it's very important for our parents, as Des called in pertaining to Snapchat. It's very important that our parents understand the message that is being portrayed in order for our kids understand that what they hear, what you hear, you embody. You embody that, and BP stated, BP stated that he doesn't remember basketball without hip hop. And one of the things that we discussed is you stated, I don't know how hip hop just became such a big thing in basketball, with the exception of Curtis Blow back in the day,
Yes, sir.
What you got to say about that, Haj?
Me personally, I wouldn't say just hip hop. I would say music in general. Because remember, we spoke about that yesterday, as far as the different type of entertainers, and depending on the setting you were in, if you was an entertainer, entertainers, they think they're funny.
Yeah.
So if you were in a setting where you were able to be a comedian, but you're also the artist or that's entertaining at night, you got 2 in 1. But we talked about the Renaissance period,
right?
How all that started. But as far as music having an impact in just sports, as you said, not just basketball, but just sports in general, I think it just, as time has changed, now we have social media.
Yeah.
So, what was, that's just like when, you got athletes being in commercials now.
Mm-hmm.
What's the first thing you hear?
Hip hop.
A song will come on.
Right. Or music.
Yeah. Any type of music. And then you got O.J. Simpson running down the airport. Or you got Michael Jordan taking off from the free throw line.
Look here. You doggone right. BP, do you remember OJ running down? You probably were too young. You don't remember that.
Yeah, no, I didn't get to see the best of OJ.
You didn't get to see the best of OJ. You did.
Well put.
Yeah. That is hilarious. But to piggyback on what you're saying, man, I just look at, there's such an influence, like not just the musical standpoint, but artists that are actually giving back into their community. Because you look at when Nipsey passed away, Russell Westbrook went out there, got 20 points, 21 rebounds, 20 assists. He just had a monster game. Incredible. Crazy game. And the first thing he said, this game is not for me. It's for Nipsey. And come to find out, Nipsey poured into his life, as a young man growing up. He, James Harden, Trevor Ariza, all these guys realized the importance that he was to the community. And that's what I mean as far as when I say the influence that hip-hop has on sports. I want to spotlight the positive influence, because if we continue to focus on negative of what hip-hop brings, or the negative connotations of what hip-hop brings, we'll never be able to focus on the good things, i.e., if Nipsey didn't pass away, very few would know about his STEMS program that he created in LA for kids to give back to kids' education. Very few would know about his Smart Store application as far as the implementation of the smart system when shopping. A lot of people don't know that he was tech savvy, that he was literally about to sit down prior to his murder. He was sitting down with the LA Sheriff Department, Police Department, to discuss methods and ways to improve the relationship with inner city kids and police, and just the positive forward movement. A lot of us, we don't know that's going on because it's not often, the light is not shown on the good things. It's always shown on black violence. Another rapper gets shot. And what's crazy is, while I was doing and just going through this week of grieving and trying to grasp the whole situation, I was able to even observe the local hip hop scene where young men are the rap beef. You know, kids don't understand the recklessness that they have in their music. They're playing games, you know, and they're glamorizing and glorifying. You know, I'll shoot you in the head, I'll wet you. You know, that's stupid. It's stupid. It's stupid.
You did way back with that one.
Yeah, you know, but it's crazy how it's everywhere. You know, anger and I have to do better. The crab in the bucket syndrome. You know, BP. When you were out in Germany, did you experience hate?
See, for me, I'm the kind of person who I feel like I'm never looking for that. You know what I mean? So if it was to be happening to me, I might not know, but it's hard for me to say. I can't say of a time where I feel like I was hated against on top of my head.
Good. And I love the fact that you stated that's not what I was looking for, because when you're of the cloth that we are of, you know, having the multicultural experience, you know, we don't look for nonsense, the foolishness, you know, and even if it's present, we're able to just slip right through it, you know, like a slip screen, you know. But I asked that because I shared with Larry Daniels last week about the first time I went to Australia and just the treatment or the appreciation that I experienced and the acceptance that I experienced. It blew me away. And that's why I asked that. So if you get my drift.
No, I know exactly what you mean. It's almost like you wonder why you're not treated like this in your own country.
Exactly. And especially when you stated, Haj, earlier today, you stated when you take off that uniform and you're looking for that purpose, you're not seen as a man in a military uniform. You're just seen as a black man, you know. And it's unfortunate circumstance. However, we bounce back from it. We work through it. We press on, and that's what we do because that's who we are. This weekend, Final Four, Mary, I got your guy from Shot, Mary, Shot Town. So, Haj, what was it like growing up in the Shot, man?
For me, I'm a 70s kid, man. So, growing up for me, it was, to me, that, believe it or not, I actually missed that time frame. I had a lot of fun growing up. I grew up on the South Side. I don't know if if you're familiar with the Lakefront.
Lakefront?
Okay. Yeah. I grew up on the Lakefront.
Okay.
So we talking between, South Shore Drive, Cottage Grove.
Got you.
King Drive. It seems like every city has a King Drive, but when you say King Drive in Chicago, it's totally different. But I grew up, the community that I pretty much grew up in was a very tight-knit community. Most of the, like I said, growing up during that time frame, I grew up during the, I guess in history books, they would call it the Black Muslim movement.
Got you.
I grew up in the Nation of Islam.
Okay.
Under the leadership of Wolf Dean Muhammad. He was known as Wallace Muhammad, peace be upon him. He died some years ago, if I'm not mistaken, I think around 2004, 2005 time frame.
Got you.
I grew up as, he was my teacher. He was the leader of the Nation of Islam by the time frame. I was engulfed in pretty much that. I went to an Islamic school. I went to the school, Sister Claire Muhammad, before I went to, I guess what you would consider public school. So that was private school for us, for kids like me growing up in the neighborhood. My father was a minister.
Got you.
And everything like that. So a lot of the foolishness I was not able to partake in, like, what we're talking about right now.
Right.
As far as the games and things like that. So,
got you.
I just, sports and education was the two things that I had going on in my life up until when I left home.
Okay, cool. Give me 1 second. We're going to get right back to that, growing up in the shop. But I think this is our special correspondent live in Minnesota. Hold on 1 second. Let's see. You're live on the floor with Coach Ray. What's going on? Is this Coach A.A. Ron?
Oh, there you go.
There it is.
There you go.
There it is. Coach A.T., how you doing?
I'm all right. How y'all doing down there?
Hey, we're good. You're in the studio with Brandon Parrish, TCU alumni, German pro ball player, and official with the whistle, Mr. Haj Davis. Coach Aaron is our correspondent up in Minnesota for the Final Four.
Okay, what's up? What's up, Coach?
How y'all doing? What's going on?
Hey, good, Coach. Good, Coach.
All good. Can't complain.
Hey, what's the atmosphere like up there?
Oh my goodness! How much time I got? Because the atmosphere is crazy.
Do tell.
Huge, ginormous Ferris wheel. We got the practices going on. The atmosphere is electric. It almost feels like the Super Bowl. So we got a lot of, and the best thing about it, got a lot of free events.
A lot of free
Can't
events.
Beat free 99.
Free 99. That's the best deal.
That's it.
Can't beat it.
Oh yeah, and the good thing about it is a lot of kid-friendly, family-friendly events going on. So I hope I run into Charles Barkley. I'm gonna have my mask on, so my face protector, so I won't get punched. I'm trying to roll up on Grant Hill. See Candace Parker shot the deuces. See all the celebs in town. The atmosphere is pretty nice. Wish I was here with me.
Hey, one of the things that I wanted to rub in your face, you know how you stated Minnesota was going to move far, but Coach Izzo came in and spanked that butt, didn't he?
Oh, it was to be expected. Yeah, the ambulance just rolled by with the U of M basketball team, but that's all right. We got a rebound season coming up next year, so we got some good talent here in the Twin Cities that's going to help move that program forward. Long as Ricky P. Jr. is our coach, we got good things on the horizon.
Hopefully Ricky P. don't follow in his father's footsteps, and he learned like Nipsey from the leaders ahead of him what not to do. You know, so we've been discussing Bullying Awareness Month, and also just the impact that the marriage of hip hop has with sports and the influence that we have. How has Minnesota received what has occurred in California with Nipsey Hussle?
Oh, the atmosphere here around that is tore up. It's just like the rest of the nation. It's a shock. It's a sad, tragic situation. Not only was a black man killed, but a father, a brother, a son, an uncle was killed that same day. So those are all of the roles that Nipsey played within his family. So that's another fatherless kid out here, and another fatherless black kid out here in the streets of America that will never get to see his dad reach his full potential.
Man, you speak volume on that, big time, and that's one of the beautiful things that we have through unfortunate circumstances, through unfortunate tragedies. That's one of the beautiful opportunities that we have to step in and just partner and be the village for those young men and women that are in need, and even parents that are in need. You know, I know you were a former athlete. You played your college ball at Concordia University. Did you ever experience during your playing days? Did you ever experience any kind of bullying, or was that evident during your playing day?
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. And it was a couple of different forms of bullying. It was a systematic bullying, where the system was set up for certain athletes to prevail. And then there was the bullying on the field. Being from the hood, you know, when folks try to bully, when we've always been told and raised to protect ourselves.
Right.
So there was a couple of incidents where some dudes thought they were going to bully me, and just because I hang out and I'm laid back, they thought I was just going to lay down and take it. No, they had a different story coming up to them. And so when they got those lumps upside their heads, they were just like, oh, well, AT did this and AT did that. No, tell the whole story. Tell the whole story. So, but it's come a long way now. The bullying is not only on the field, but the bullying is on the internet as well.
100%.
So that's a thing that I have to parent against. Is just like the social media bullying, and just like don't be a coward and hide behind your thumbs. Be a man or a woman and say what you have to say in front of that individual. Work those differences out in a peaceful way and move on.
Hey, man, you know what? Thank you for that amazing feedback. So, what do you? What's your final outcome for the game this weekend?
Man, I was hoping to see them Tar Heels take it, but they crashed and burned.
Yeah, they did.
And threw my brackets all out of whack. But
trashed it.
I got a crazy feeling that it's going to be an upset. Everybody is picking Michigan State. I hope I see a shout out to Magic Johnson. I hope I run into you, brother. He was just here last year giving that great speech at the Forum on Diversity and Inclusion, hosted at St. Thomas University, downtown Minneapolis. But I'm thinking that it's going to be an upset. I don't think Michigan State is going to pull it out. I think it's going to be an upset. Quite as it kept, Texas Tech plays just as good as D as Michigan State. So I'm not expecting it might be an upset with Michigan State tomorrow night. So we'll see. So I think it's going to be an upset.
Well, we'll take that upset. He's not picking a winner, but we're taking an upset.
Yeah, we're going to take the upset. People, a lot of folks I see a lot of Virginia fans walking around, a lot of Virginia and Auburn fans walking around the Skyways in downtown Minneapolis. So that might be our final right there.
BP, what you think, man?
I think, to me personally, I think it's either going to be Texas Tech or Virginia. I feel like Virginia, they got a lot to prove this year, especially if they win this year. Just imagine that. Think about that comeback. Last year, you go out lose to a 16 seed.
Yes.
First round, and next season you come back and win a national championship.
That's called a brain fart. How did you brain lapse? You know what's crazy about that is Tony Bennett. He has players. He gets players in year round, but he hasn't won the big game. You know, coming into this Final Four, we had Tennessee. You know, Rick Barnes. I saw a lot of the same trend. Coaches that win during the season, but don't win that big game. Mm-hmm. You know, and the beautiful thing, the irony that I love about this season's Final Four, you get two coaches that haven't had an outright good name, with the exception, well, Bruce Pearl, you know, he's responded through adversity, big time being suspended from Tennessee,
yep.
And to bounce back with Auburn. They took out North Carolina, yeah, your Tar Heels, Ron. They took out Kentucky, and they took out Kansas, the powerhouses.
Three blue bloods.
Three blue bloods.
Three blue bloods.
So to go against Auburn might not be the best thing right now, but also Michigan State, you get Tom Izzo. America hates him right now. Why? Because he held his kid accountable, got up in his kid's face and held him accountable. We don't like that. You can't coach like that. You're too hard on the kid. Man,
that his coaching style should be replicated throughout the league, because nowadays kids are coming out, they're being too sensitive. Coach yelled at me. Well, get it together. And, you know how we got yelled at when we played?
We got held accountable. Big time.
Oh, yeah.
Fist to chest.
Exactly. And so with Tom Izzo, I like the comeback story. Like, you got a problem with my coaching style? Check my record. Check my track record. How many guys am I graduating? How many productive men have I helped guide into society? Especially, you know why they don't like him, right? Y'all know why they don't like Tom Izzo.
No, tell us, Coach.
Here's the reason. that gymnastics scandal. Tom was up there during that gymnastics scandal going on. And that's one of the things that I put a flag around. Tom should have stepped up if he knew anything about it. We don't sweep anything under the rug because that's the syndrome that America and higher up hierarchy does. You know, I'll scratch your back. You just look out for me. You know, but then when it hits the fan, that's when you receive backlash like that. So in that situation, I can understand the feedback towards Tom Izzo, but as far as coaching with on the court coaching, he's doing what he's supposed to do, you know, and we go through those hardships to learn, you know, about what we can do better, you know. So I think Michigan State and Auburn in the championship, and I think Brucey P, my man, I think he's Brucey P. I think he shoves it in everybody's face and say, "Ha, I finally won one. Go Tigers, War Eagle, War Eagle." You know, hey,
it's gonna be tough.
It's gonna be tough. But Coach Aaron, we'll let you get back to the streets of Minnesota. Don't.
Man, I'm about to go. I'm about to take my little man over here and enjoy some of these festivities. I'll shoot y'all a picture of some Juicy Lucy's in a little bit.
Some what? All right,
Juicy, y'all know. See, y'all need to get up to the shoulders and Juicy Lucy's let you know.
All right, Coach.
Hey, be careful, Coach.
Be careful, Coach. Be careful.
I'll be all right. Y'all be easy.
America, that's Coach Aaron.
Wow.
Hey, you know what? I'm just gonna let the cat out of the bag. That's my older brother. Okay. Growing up with him, we fought like cats and dogs. I'm gonna be honest with you. My mom would tell us, man, y'all fighting like cats and dogs, like you're married. One day you are going to be the best friend that each other has. You're gonna need each other. And at that time, you know, you grow up with a single mom. What are you talking about? You can't, whatever, I hate him. But she was speaking volume. She was speaking light over us, because I come to the understanding that at 38, things probably would have been different if I would have worked with him. You know, just, hey, it's life. But Coach Aaron, stay away from those, what do you say, Lucy's? I don't even know. But he's crazy.
Hey, bless him.
He's crazy, man. So, B, man, with Bruce Pearl, what do you think he's thinking? Like, you knock out 3 blue bloods.
I mean, I feel like like I said, they definitely feeling on top of the team. They team, you could, in my opinion, I'd probably say they're playing with the most confidence of any team that's in the Final Four right now, especially after knocking off 3 blue bloods. I think it was going to hurt them if they actually lost one of their 5, real versus the 5-man due towards ACL.
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, I think that might come back to bite them a little bit, especially when you playing against teams that are so deep and so versatile, just like you are. So I think that might come back and bite him. But, I mean, from a coach's standpoint, I feel like he solidified himself as, like I said, one of the better coaches that's in college basketball history. You know what I mean? Because if you could do it doing it with one school is one thing, but then leaving one school, going through some adversity like a suspension like he did,
right,
to be able to, you know what I mean, maybe rebuild yourself and rebuild your brand and a whole nother organization. Man, that's just so big time, because I know it's tough.
And he's been able to do that, and literally, I know Texas Tech, Chris Beard won AP Coach of the Year. Congratulations, Coach, because he's done an amazing thing up there. Kyler Edwards, local kid from Arlington, transferred from out of state Nevada, school in Nevada. I forget the name of it. But the fact that he's on the team, I mean, last year they had Zaire Smith, you know, just tremendous local athletes. And that's the key thing with some of our young men and women that are coming up. A lot of us want to shop our brand, our package out of state, when, hey, you might want to stay home, because that's where it's at.
Exactly. I mean, it's just kind of just always depend on that kind of talent you are. You know what I mean? If you one of them McDonald's All-Americans, wherever you go, you'll be embraced no matter what. You you can go to another country and they're going to embrace you like it's nothing. But you know what I mean? When you just when you one of them talented kids, but maybe not that next level, or obviously next level to the eyes of, you know what I mean, those analysts and those coaches, then to stay home is for me, it was great for me, just to, you know what I mean, to have that support around you.
Right.
And, you know, for me, I was crazy. When I was about 15, I was telling myself, I'm not going to school in town, in Texas. I'm getting out of state. I'm going as far as possible. 'Cause I thought I wanted to get away from my parents.
Right.
But then once, like I said, once I was about 18 and the idea of TCU really dawned upon me, and I'm like, man, Big 12, 25 minutes away from home, great academic program. I mean, really, what else can you really ask for?
Hey, man, and you were in your backyard.
And then you could play.
Heck
I got the opportunity to play right out the gate, so it was a blessing in disguise for me.
So you started playing your freshman year, correct?
Yeah, my freshman year, we actually so the year I came there, they had I want to say 5 seniors they had graduated, and 3 or 4 of them were actually like starting, playing big minutes. So and then Trent Johnson came and recruited me. He was saying there will be an opportunity to play right out the gate. So I ended up starting my freshman year.
Wow.
And I mean, it was a blessing, but I remember thinking I was so good that I had NBA potential. Then played that first year as a freshman in the Big 12, starting. You got to play 30 minutes. You in a fire.
Did it wake you up?
Whew, humbled me.
Humbled, big time.
Humbled me.
I love it.
And I would say that was the moment where I was like, you know what, basketball might not be it. Let me make sure I focus on this academic stuff and at least have something to fall back on.
Right.
Because, you know, it's different when you winning every game, scoring 20, 30 when you want to. Then when you're going out losing by 30, 20, scoring 6, 7, you're like, oh, wow, this is something totally different.
So basically what happened is you had that come to Jesus moment, or come to the mental midget, the battle with the mental midget.
Yep.
You know, that doubt, that frustration, because you go in as a 17 and 18-year-old, you know, with the understanding that, hey, I'm legit. I'm good. I'm in the backyard, you know, and you're averaging 20 to 30 points or whatnot in high school, and then the real world hits you. So the real world hits you. And literally you had to see what your options were, pretty much. You started focusing on your education.
And I started working harder. So nuggets right there for my upcoming players, okay? When your expectations, when you don't meet your expectations, go back to work, okay? Go back to work. Recommit to everything that will help you get better. BP had to increase his knowledge. He had to recommit. He had to go back after it, get his hunger back. And describe how, you know, in that process of focusing on your education, how that led to you pursuing something that you love that's taking you around the world. Yeah, I mean, for me, I always knew the direction I was going to go into from an educational standpoint. I knew I loved animals from my youngest age, and I knew I wanted to pursue that for the rest of my life because, you know what I mean, at the end of the day, nothing can beat true passion.
Right.
And so for me, it was like I knew I loved basketball. I knew I loved animals, but then when you see basketball not going so good, it's just like, you know, fall back on what you really love.
Right.
And then, like I said, just through doing that, I started to find myself a little more. I found a different part of me that I really didn't even know completely existed. I mean, I knew it was there, but I didn't know it had the full content of what it actually had.
Wow.
And so that was probably the best thing for me.
So, and like, you grew up watching Steve Irwin, the Crocodile.
Man, Steve Irwin. I could probably name some folks on here that y'all probably ain't never heard of.
Gotcha.
Y'all name like Brady Barr, David Attenborough, like all these great people who have done so much for wildlife and the environment. And just to, you know what I mean, be able to see myself potentially one day in that kind of position, it motivates me to a whole new level.
Man. So, your love for the game has helped you grow into an amazing young man with so much future. And I just share that with you because when I got a chance to meet you. Oh, by the way, Quavo, your iguana.
Bearded dragon.
Your bearded dragon. I got that wrong.
It's all good.
Quavo, the bearded dragon. The first time I see BP at TCU's camp, he's like, the kids are going crazy. I'm like, what are these kids going crazy? BP pulls out a bearded dragon. Looked like a lizard, one of them California lizards, king lizards that my grandmother used to torture me with, you know? So immediately, I'm like, no, player, black folks don't mess with lizards. Immediately, I thought that. I didn't say it. But black folks don't mess with lizards. But BP, he changed my whole perspective. Hearing this story, hearing how you use the game and just to go above and abroad to expand your horizons, that's what it's all about for me, man. And so seeing your passion, seeing your love for the Rhinos, you know, and Quavo, man, it really made me think differently. So I commend you for that. Coach Cross came over your junior year, correct, or your senior year?
No, he came over the year after I graduated.
Okay, the year after you graduated. So were you able to gain some of his knowledge?
Well, Coach Cross actually recruited me at UTA.
Got you.
At that time, UTA, I mean, it had a little light, but it wasn't enough for me, in my personal opinion.
Got you.
So he couldn't really. But I mean, I got a chance to talk to him and maybe like fellowship a little bit and just kind of hear his stance on UTA and just pick his head a little bit as a coach.
Got you.
And I always knew that he was a good man with good value.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he was just at a school that I really wasn't interested in.
Got you.
But then to see him come to TCU, it was just like, wow, this is a beautiful opportunity for him, his family, and you know what I mean, and just a great bounce back opportunity for him.
Oh yeah.
Especially after going through what he went through at UTA, which me personally, I feel like might not have been the best decision for UTA.
100%.
But you know, that's business.
Good coaches are hard to duplicate, and coaches that understand the fabric of their role in life, that actually are walking in that role, those coaches are treasures, especially when it comes to development of our young men and women around. So one of the things that we do here on the Flow with Coach Ray, man, we encourage coaches. I celebrate people. I celebrate athletes. I celebrate those that are doing and giving back. And one way, with this being Bully Awareness Month, man, we got to continue to find opportunities to help those that are in need. And there's an organization that is really near and dear to my heart, and I look forward to the opportunity of working with them. A good friend of mine, another veteran, Tim Clun, he introduced me to this organization, I'mBullyFree.org, in which they have the Friends with Buddies program, in which helps talk about the importance of not bullying and to fight bullying going on. And I look forward to working with them and being a part of the movement that they have going on, because our kids need to know your words are power. Build up the next man or next woman next to you. And when you do that, you make it better for yourself. You know, one of the things that you guys that is really, really eye-opening with this whole Nipsey Hussle and Bullying Awareness Month is that we got to have a sense of urgency when dealing with people. We don't have a sense of urgency. What do you guys think about that? Like, we avoid interacting. We avoid and that can't happen in our positions from a sports standpoint, from an official standpoint. Have you guys experienced, man, just that the walls that are present around you, as far as just the fear and inability to engage with others around you? You guys notice that's going on?
Of course. I mean, as far as, like I said, you can't control people. You can't control people. People are going to do what they're going to do. They're going to listen if they want to listen. They're going to get involved if they want to get involved. You can't make anyone do anything, you know, depending on the circumstances. You probably could make them do something, you know. They're afraid of, you know, getting choked out, or, you know, they have to tap out, or whatever the case may be. That's just a scenario. So my take on that is, like what he brought up, you had asked him the question about, you know, how he felt or what was his experience with when he was in Europe. I know for me, it was an eye-opener. It was an eye-opener. I mean, I've been to the Far East. I've been, you know, Far East is Indonesia. I've been, you know, Europe. I've been to Russia. You know, all over Europe. I was in Europe for 12 years.
Wow.
You know, and it at a point in my life, probably not this young man's life, because I guess I'm the oldest one here on the show. Since you told your age,
yeah, you got to claim that title.
I will.
Championship.
I will. I will say, during my 23 years, I spent in the United States Army. Half of that was in Europe. But when I was stationed in Europe, you know, I was in different places. You know, I did, 2 years here in Italy. You know, I did, a year and a half over in Mallorca, Spain. You know, I'm over here in, I had to go to the UK, spent 2 years in the UK training, because that's a different type of environment.
Right.
Things like that. When I say the UK, I'm talking about Scotland, London, you know the deal.
Yeah.
But with the time that I spent in Germany, I'll just say that the day they told me I had to leave Germany, I cried.
You cried.
I got down on my knees and cried.
BP, did you shed some tears?
It was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough to leave Germany just because it says a beautiful country with beautiful people.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel that.
Yeah. For Europe, it was the thing that I had to leave Europe, but when I got back to Germany, because the time I spent in Germany, 4 tours in Iraq, 1 Afghanistan tour. But when I wasn't deployed, being in Europe it changed me.
It changed your life.
It changed me.
Man, that right there, it's so awesome to see and hear.
So it gets back to what our main topic was as far as interacting and getting involved.
Right.
Because there were times when, that's when you got to get on your A game, especially because a lot of people don't know, like this young man, he probably don't realize that he was an ambassador of this nation,
right,
being over there.
Right.
Even though he was playing sports, he was an ambassador.
Right.
A lot of people don't know that. When you leave your country,
you are a representative.
You're a representative of your country. During the time when I was, stationed over there, and I considered myself, a part of that culture. Especially, when you can speak the language.
Right.
Just walking down the street, or if you find yourself, in a town, or a small village, and you go to a cafe. It's not like what we have here in the U.S. Now in the U.S., you could sit outside of a restaurant, what we call patios, and I'll give you an example, like in Europe, you're sitting on the street in front of these, businesses.
Right.
Rather if you eating a piece of candy, you can sit there and enjoy that piece of candy. You sit there and drink your coffee. They don't have Starbucks. They have cafes.
Right.
You sitting there, and I a perfect example. I remember the first time I went to Germany, and I was able to sit. I was, of course, you can't be walking around in uniform.
Right.
During that time I was there, and I was just sitting in the cafe, and I was like, okay, read up all my books, and I'm finna try out my German. So, sitting in the cafe, I asked for my coffee, young lady looks at me, and she looks at me again, and she was like, well, you can't speak English. And I was like, well, I know that, but I want to sprechen Sie Deutsch. So just finding yourself and then trying to represent, because they, that society, they have a totally different outlook on Americans.
Yeah. Western civilization.
Western
culture.
Your Western culture.
Yeah, man, and it's I can pretty much attest to that as far as going through that. Just that experience, it helped you grow, as a person. It helped her grow as a person because of her perception, based off of, just from seeing a stranger, different color. Wait a minute, He just spoke my native tongue. Whoa, whatever perception I had of him has just been destroyed.
Man, it's been changed.
Out of the door.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, it's totally different.
So in order for that to happen, there, you had to come to the point to where, hey, I'm going to engage with this person. I'm going to be intentional to engage with this person. And that's, the more we do that, the more healing happens. You know, the beautiful thing that we have is with our sports and music and just our love for animals, we have a opportunity to impact. And that's, at the end of the day, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of destruction, lives being affected by decision making. And at the end of the day, we want to change that narrative. And we can do that. You know, like one of the things that I got going on is the Flow bracket challenge. My whole perspective has been changed, BP and Haj. Why? I'm losing. I'm losing both of them, okay? And how can I be losing? One of my contests, Hayden Clare Harding, one of my students, is winning the bracket, the women's bracket. And you know what? I ain't mad at her because she's a good kid and she knows the game. She knows the game. So if it turns out she might be my co-host for April 12th, you know, and then on the men's side, I'm losing that too, BP, because Duke went down.
That was tough. That was a tough blow for all of us.
That was tough.
Duke going down shattered everybody's bracket. Everybody's bracket. So Scoob, my man Scoob Jackson, hey, I picked Duke because you picked Duke. We went down because I followed you, okay? But I still believe in you, kid. Scoob Jackson, he was my student athlete of the month for March. He came in and was able to co-host the show. His dad, unfortunately, underwent almost tragic accident in which a driver drove through a security gate. And with the grace of God, Scotty Jacks of Scott Jacks Entertainment, he's recovering very well. You know, it just goes to show, you never know. Cherish at the end of the day, my folks. We got to cherish our relationships, cherish the opportunities that we have with people, and extend love, because you never know. You never know when your last conversation will be with someone. Okay, so try to make it a positive one, a life-changing one. Try to make it one where both of you understand the value that you possess, you know. And I think that the more we do that as mankind, the better people will feel. If all else fails, go shoot some free throws with my boy BP. And we'll get you right.
I'm here for it.
I'm your favorite crazy coach. We're gearing down towards our final hoorah. I've had Haj Davis, one of my favorite officials in the area. Haj, what chapter are you with? What officiating chapter?
I am the North Texas chapter.
North Texas chapter.
Yes.
Okay. My guy, the Iron Man. Well, I can't call you Iron Man no more.
I mean, I was Iron Man when I was there. I didn't miss a game.
The Iron Man.
I guess it still sticks, but somebody has outlasted.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The Iron Man, former Iron Man of TCU basketball, Mr. Brandon Parrish, NIT champion as well while he was in college ball. He's overseas right now playing in Germany. He flew back last night and decided to come join you guys out there listening on the floor with Coach Ray. And Brandon, man, you're amazing. I thank you for it. Haj, you're amazing. I thank you for it. Any parting words? Because we got to get you guys back. We got to get you guys back whenever you're available. But I know you guys have busy schedules with the officiating season fully being underway with basketball. And BP, I know that you're in grind mode. You're training. How can people find you guys?
You can always find me via Instagram at BP The Truth, BPTHATRUTH, and that same social media handle goes across all platforms. So if anybody has a question or anything you want to talk about, feel free to hit me up, and I'm here for it.
Bang, bang. What about you, Haj?
I don't have all that social media.
I don't have all that.
I don't have the social media. I'm sorry.
You know where you can catch Haj? Right on the side of the court, running up and down the court. And many of the venues throughout this Metroplex, you know, the field houses, I'm just giving away your location because you're an amazing person. and people need to see you in action. Okay, I celebrate those that are good, you know. So,
hey, Coach.
Yeah.
Hey, you a great coach.
Man, get out of here. Stop that. Cut that out.
The best crazy coach.
I know the best crazy
Hey,
coach.
I get it from you guys. Thank you so much. I also, as we leave, man, for anyone interested, make sure you tune into the Fishbowl Radio Network. We have shows about business. We have shows about marriage. We have shows about continued counseling. We have sports shows. Man, you might want to tune in. Not might, you need to increase your value, to increase your knowledge. Okay? My players, going into this weekend, you guys better work. Believe in yourself. Believe in your ability. Because I know if you don't, I got 2 strong men that'll go to war with me for you to be successful.
Yes, sir.
So, I love you guys. Tune in next week. Final 4 will be done. We'll be going. We'll be celebrating the champion by then. Basketball. We got baseball going on right now. We got to do our baseball preview. We also got to dive into football, NFL coming up. The combine, draft taking place. And we're just going to keep the gears rolling right here on your favorite Crazy Coaches radio station, The Flow, on Fishbowl Radio Network. God bless you guys. Have a great weekend.